comes the real travel fail, like the ultimate worst case scenario, hands down, second worst part of my trip part. Like, it was just terrible. So, so from Cleveland, I drove up to Detroit. Totally great, stayed with friends, and it was perfect. I have no travel fails from Detroit to report on, which is fantastic. Other than the fact that I accidentally dropped one of my credit cards in the guest bedroom of my friend's house and didn't realize until like a few days later when they texted me to tell me they found it. But that doesn't really count. So, from Detroit, I wanted to go to Indiana Dunes National Park. It looked beautiful. I had these plans to spend like 3 nights there. I was going to paddleboard Lake Michigan because you can see the Chicago skyline from there. I was going to do the 3 Dunes challenge where you hike up their 3 highest dunes and you get like a stupid sticker or something saying you completed the challenge. So, Indiana was going to be another point in my trip where I was going to sleep in my car. So, I drive the 3 or 4 hours it took from Detroit to get there. I get to my campground and it's pretty deserted. I mean, there are like campers there, like people in all of the campsites, but the welcome counter was closed and there was like a sign saying, like there was no way to check in. There was a sign saying, go to your site. A ranger will be around at some point eventually to confirm your reservation. So I was like, okay, like easy enough. So I go to find my site that I had reserved, and I had reserved a tent only site, which is fine. That had been totally fine the rest of my trip in all of the other campgrounds that I had booked, because a tent only site basically means like you can park your car there, but you're sleeping in a tent. It's not like a designated RV site that needs additional space. It needs all of these hookups, yada, 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 whatever. So I had booked this tent only site because I was like, okay, this has worked for everything else. I literally need space to park my car. That's it. So I'm driving around trying to find my campsite, and I can't find it anywhere. I was like, what the fuck? Like, where is this campsite? Like, why can't I find it? I know I'm in the right section, and according to the map, like, there should be this other, like here's the big loop, and there should be this other trail that leads up to this other loop, and I can't find it. Like, where is it? Yeah, well, come to find out, after like probably a good 45 minutes of trying to find my site and not even having anyone at the campground to help me because there was no like employees there. Come to find out, the website had the campsite mislabeled, and it wasn't a tent only site, it was a walk-in only site. And lucky for you, I got to take a video of exactly what that was and my reaction to it. So, a campsite you cannot drive a car in. This is it. Obviously not helpful to me. So we'll see how tonight goes. So yeah, obviously a walk-in site when my place to sleep is my car, not gonna work. So at this point, I'm kind of panicking a little bit. I know that there's a thunderstorm coming. Like, I know that there's really not much around where I'm staying. Like, at this point, I didn't know what to do. I had no other option. At least not that I really knew of. So I'm panicking. I'm trying to find someone in this damn campground to help me figure out what to do. I ended up calling recreation.gov because there was a phone number listed for them. My husband is also like in Boston calling recreation.gov. And basically, I called, I explained what had happened, and what I was told was, well, because it's the day of your reservation, like, we can't actually change it for you. Like, you could cancel it, but you'll get charged a fee. We could reschedule another one, but only if there are open sites available. Awesome. So, like, while I was on the phone having this conversation, my husband was looking up additional available sites, and there was one open site left in the entire campground. And that site was an RV site. Not really what I need, but like I could make it work. So I was talking to the recreation.gov person, said, well, my husband found this RV site, and the recreation.gov person freaking told me that I couldn't go there, and that because I didn't technically have a rig, that I could be kicked out of that spot because I'm taking a spot away from someone else, like, who could potentially need it. Excuse me? I need it. Like, right now, I need that spot. There's no one else here clearly trying to book that spot. I need it. So, I'm kind of freaking out at this point because this guy literally just told me that I can't book that site because I'm going to get kicked out in the middle of the night. Thankfully, we got in touch with, like, some random park ranger that's, like, actually in the area. And she told me, like, go ahead and book that site. The only problem was my original site I had booked for 3 nights. This one remaining site, only available for that one night. And she basically told me I'm shit out of luck for the remainder of my time that I had planned there. Like, I could stay there for the one night, but had to figure out something new the next day. Freaking awesome. So, I had been planning on going from Indiana to Chicago at the end of my time in Indiana, and you know, my plan for Chicago was I was going to stay in a hotel for a few nights, and then I was going to spend the rest of my time, like 2 or 3 nights, with some friends of mine that live there. So I texted my friends that live there, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have a spot at this campground, I'm freaking out, like, end of the world. And thankfully for them, they were like, oh my god, like, come right here, like, just come here, thank you, Tom and Molly, love you more than you know. But they were like, come here, like, just come to Chicago, like, fuck Indiana, like, don't stay there. But at this point, I knew a thunderstorm was rolling in. It was starting to get really dark. I was really freaking tired, and I was like, it's fine. Like, and I still really wanted to do all of the things that I planned on doing in Indiana. And I figured, like, okay, a storm is coming, probably not going to be able to paddleboard on Lake Michigan, but I should still be able to do the 3 Dunes challenge. Tomorrow is looking beautiful. Like, it should be fine. So I was like, I'll stay here for the night, and then once I finish doing all of my things tomorrow, then I will come to you guys early, and I'll stay with you until it's time for me to check into my hotel. Okay, great. So I'm laying... So before I get to the new campsite, basically, this is all one big rant about Indiana, but there's multiple travel fails in here. First being the campsite issue. Now we're coming up to number 2. So, before I went to the new campsite that I had just reserved, I, used the bathroom. I had parked right in front of the bathroom, and I was about to cross the street to get back to my car when a ranger comes through with a megaphone saying, like, thunderstorms in the area, lightning and hail, and possible tornadoes are also in the area. And I was like, great, that's fine. Oh, and they were also announcing, like, campers and tents, like, if you need to take shelter in the bathrooms. And I was like, okay, noted. But, like, how bad can the thunderstorm be? Go to my site, set up, do my thing, and I decide to lay down for the night. So I fell asleep, was sleeping pretty soundly, and I get woken up around midnight. All of a sudden, the lightning from the storm was just insane. Like, every maybe 10 to 15 seconds, I was seeing, like, straight up bolts of lightning, and I was just like, wow, this is a pretty serious storm. And, I'm not overly freaked out about it. I'm a little worried, but, like, overall, I'm pretty safe in my car during a thunderstorm. No big deal. No hail had started. Winds were kind of heavy, but, like, I felt like being in a car, the wind felt worse to me than it would have if I had been, like, in a house or in a hotel. Until a few minutes after I woke up, and I heard this noise that I will never, ever forget. It's like this whirring, high-pitched alarm-sounding noise. And I sat there and I thought to myself, nah, no, can't be, no. What are the chances that that noise I'm hearing is a tornado alarm? No. Yeah. I pulled out my phone because I didn't want to believe it, but I was like, if there's a tornado coming my way, like, I'd rather be mentally prepared. I pull out my phone, I pull up the weather app, and I look at all of these things, and sure enough, funnel clouds in the area. And I was like, what the fuck do I do? Here I am, alone, in the middle of frickin' Indiana, in the middle of the night, in my car. Like, I'm not in a hotel, I'm not in an Airbnb, I'm in my freaking car. What the hell am I supposed to do if a tornado comes? Now, you're taught that, you know, a tornado comes, you seek shelter. You go to the basement. If you don't have the basement, stand in a doorway, go in your bathroom, whatever. That's great. But I was like a good, 10-minute walk to the closest bathroom. And the lightning was still non-stop bolts of lightning. So my options at the time seemed like either, okay, I can get out of my car, sprint to the bathroom, and pray that I don't get struck by lightning, which seems like it was a pretty high possibility that would happen at that point. Or I can just hang tight, hunker down, and really freaking pray that a tornado doesn't come and sweep me up and, you know, twirl me away to friggin' Oz. So, weighing my options, I ended up just staying in my car because I figured, worst case scenario, if a tornado comes, like, I can, like, roll myself in my mattress because it was just, like, a memory foam 4-inch mattress topper. I can roll myself in my mattress, hopefully be shielded and protected and, like, kind of packed in enough that I wouldn't die or suffer any, like, hugely major injury if a tornado came. Like, maybe I'd survive it, I don't know. So I stayed there, but I was panicking because then all of a sudden it was like the rain got soaked up out of nowhere, and there was just this unbelievable darkness that I have never experienced anything like in my entire life. Like, it was like being under a pile of black wool blankets. Like, it was just a heavy, all-consuming darkness. It was insane. And I was like, this is the moment where I'm gonna die. Like, the tornado is coming. Like, I'm not gonna make it through this. I texted my husband basically saying, like, hey, the storm's getting really bad. Like, I don't know that I'm gonna make it through this, but, like, just so you know, like, I love you. Like, I love the dogs. All of this stuff. Like, sounds very dramatic, but it was very, very scary in the moment. And I also was immediately regretting not just going to Chicago when my friends told me to. So they say that when a tornado comes, you really know it's coming because you hear a freight train kind of coming at you. So all of a sudden, I hear it. And I hear the freight train. And I was just like, okay, this is it. Like, this is how we're going out. In Indiana, in a tornado, inside my 2012 Nissan Rogue. This is how the end is gonna come for me. Well, here's the thing. There was, like, actually a train track, like, right next to the campground. And it was kind of a crapshoot on whether it was the train going by. At this point, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Is the train going by at 2 a.m., which seems like a weird time for a train, or is it a tornado coming? And at that point, I had no idea which one, but, like, I had to mentally prepare for the worst. Thankfully, it was not a tornado. It was just the train, and I did not end up seeing a tornado. The tornado did touch down about 30 miles west of where I was. And there were funnel clouds pretty consistently throughout the night in the area where I was staying. But very scary, very grateful that it was not a tornado. But let me tell you, experiencing that, I was like, holy crap, I cannot wait to get out of here after doing all of the things I want to do tomorrow. So now I wake up, the next day is supposed to be a beautiful day in Indiana. So I thought, okay, massive storm last night. Lake Michigan's gonna be wild. Like, I'm obviously not paddleboarding today. I had already figured that out. Totally fine, not a big deal. But I was like, I'll drive down, I'll like go see, you know, Lake Michigan. I'll look at the Chicago skyline because I bet it's really beautiful from here. I'll do the 3 dune challenge, hopefully find some breakfast, and then head out. It's supposed to be a beautiful sunny day. No clouds, no storms, nothing. I triple checked the weather. So I get down to the dunes, get to the park, I'm on the beach. Lake Michigan was wild. I'll share a video here. And like, really crazy, but in general, beautiful day, great day. So I spot this thing up in the distance. It looks like some kind of weird watchtower. I was like, oh, like, I don't really have any like set plans other than doing the 3 dune challenge, which I can do at any point during the day. Like, let me go climb that. So I climb it. I think it was actually like a bird watch tower. It was pretty cool. But I climb it, and freaking all of a sudden, these storm clouds, it goes from beautiful blue sunny morning, these storm clouds come rushing in out of nowhere. And I was like, what the hell is this? Are you kidding me? Me and Indiana, not friends, if you haven't been able to tell yet. So these storm clouds rush in, the freaking wind is going nuts. I'm getting whipped with sand. Like, it physically hurt me how strong the wind was whipping the sand around. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm not doing the dunes challenge. Like, I'm freaking over this state. Like, this state and I are not friends. Like, this is miserable. This storm came out of nowhere, was nowhere in the forecast, that I checked a million different times throughout the night and that morning. Like, I'm going to Chicago. Like, I can't do this. This is outrageous. So, yeah, never did the dune challenge, never paddleboarded Lake Michigan. I got my car and drove straight to Chicago, and well, I did start crying when I saw the skyline and I like crossed the border. And almost started crying again when I got into my friend's apartment and got to snuggle their puppy, because puppy snuggles were exactly what I needed. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more.